Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Open Mat MMA. Today we're going to be going over UFC 287 fight predictions, breakdowns, and also some free bets. So, starting out the card, the prelims, we got Sam Hughes versus Jaqueline Amorim. So, first off, Sam Hughes 7-5, Jaqueline 6-0. Jaqueline had all last of her 4 fights finishes in the LFA. I'm gonna be picking Jaqueline. Sam Hughes, she's been in the UFC since 2020. She's 2-4 in the UFC. I think Jaqueline, this is her first fight, so it's a good fight to get her feet wet. Next, we got Shayilan, the Wolverine. This is his nickname. I'll be calling him that. Steve Garcia. So Steve Garcia, he's 13-5. He been in the UFC since 2020, but he been fighting at Bellator since 2013 on the Dana White Contender Series. He's 5-2 in Bellator, 2-2 in the UFC. I'm going Shayilan. Steve Garcia came off an impressive win against Chase Hopper, but Shayilan also got this is 50 professional fight. He is coming off the whole. He's fighting a guy from James Cruz's team, so there was some speculation that I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but it was definitely speculation that fight was fixed. They bet on themselves to lose. I don't know that to be true. I'm not in a circle with that, so I won't speak on that. But that's my pick for the fight. Next, we got Ignacio versus Trey Ogden. So I think the fight Nicholas Moto was originally supposed to fight, but Trey Ogden stepped in short notice. He got a lot of submissions in his arsenal. I think he's gonna have to rely on that to win the fight. I'm picking Ignacio. If I pronounce his name wrong, I apologize. But he's 2-1 in the UFC, but he got a lot of finishes, man. He got 9 finishes, 9 knockouts. He got 10 finishes total. He got 1 submission, but he's looking to knock guys out. He lost a split decision in the UFC. He got two finishes, so that's what I'm going with. Next, we got Cynthia Calvillo versus Lupita Godinez. So Cynthia, she's coming off some tough fights. She's on a 4-fight losing streak. She, had some tough fights. Fought people like Jessica Andrade. She's one of the best fighters in the division. Fought Caitlin Chukagian, Andrea Lee, Nina Nunes. She fought, really decent fighters. She's about 500 as far as her record in the UFC, 6-5 and 1 draw. Hey, I got Lupita. I think Lupita, she's on the up. She's 3-3. She lost some decisions in the UFC too. I think it should be a good fight. I think they're very evenly matched. That's good matchmaking. Next, we got GM3 versus Joe Pyfer. Hey, I like Joe Pyfer. I also like GM3. But I like Joe Pyfer because he got a good story. Coming from the Contender Series, he was going through some financial difficulties. Dana White helped him out. GM3, he a veteran of the fight game. I think he trains in Milwaukee at Duke Rufus. Kind of local to me, so I think that's gonna be a very underrated fight on the prelims. I got Joe Pyfer winning. He got the nice story, but also he got the skills to back it up. GM3 got the skills too. I'm not saying he don't got the skills, but I just think I just think Joe Pyfer gonna win. GM3 definitely capable of winning though. But if I had to choose, I would choose this. So next we got Karl Williams and Chase Sherman. Originally supposed to be Chris Barnett was supposed to fight Chase Sherman. I like Chase Sherman. He got a nice personality outside of MMA, and that was gonna be a banger. But unfortunately for Chase Sherman, he's going against Karl Williams. And I watched him fight a few times. That guy is a relentless wrestler. He's coming at you. He got a great motor for heavyweight division, which you don't really see a lot in the heavyweights. Chase Sherman, a big guy in shape. He had a reach advantage over Chris Barnett. But I think now he's going against Karl Williams. I got Carl Williams. The guy, that motor on that guy is insane. You know, I watched him fight. His motor is insane. All right, next fight, we got Waterson-Gomez versus Luana Pinheiro. So, looking at the record-wise, it does like a fight that's favor Luana. Waterson-Gomez, she's lost her last two. She got finished last fight. Fought a tough opponent though. She's been pretty good in the UFC. She's 6-6, but she has gotten a little older. She's 37 now, so she's not the young woman she once was. Still an excellent fighter, but she's fighting Luana, who's on an 8-fight win streak. I think the UFC is feeding her. A tough fight. That's a tough fight for Waterson-Gomez, but she's tough as they come. I know it'd be a good fight. I got Luana Pinheiro. I got her coming out for the victory. Next fight we got on the card, we got Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis. I'll probably butcher his name, but I apologize if I did. But hey, it's gonna be a great fight. Kelvin, he took a little time away from fighting to work on his mental health. He hasn't fought since 2021. Worked on his mental health. He worked on his physical health as well. I watched an interview with him. So, look, this guy done fought everybody in the middleweight division. He fought Izzy. He fought Darren Till. He fought Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier's last 2 fights. He done fought the best of the best in the middleweight. He's done good. Lately, he's 1-5 in his last 6 fights. I think that's concerning, but he fought Robert Whittaker, Jared Cannonier, Jack Hermanson, Darren Till, Israel. Them was all tough fighters. So I don't think you should judge him off his last couple fights, especially took that time away from the cage as needed. As he said, that was needed. He found himself doing good. But I think Chris Curtis, I think this is his fight. Like, hey, I'm legit fighting the UFC. He got some finishes. He beat Buckley last fight. He lost to Jack Hermanson. Jack Hermanson is a tough stylistic fight for most guys at middleweight, but he also beat like Phil Halls, finished him, beat Brandon Allen. Brandon Allen coming up. I got Chris Curtis. I think that's gonna be the best fight on the prelims. One of the best fights on the card. It's gonna be a banger for sure. Good 185-pound fight. So that sums up the prelims. Next, we're gonna go over to the main card. Hey, we got Raul Rosas Jr. and Christian Rodriguez. Hey, that is a tough fight for both of them. They both be very young fighters. Rosas is the youngest UFC fighter, so he's a little younger than Christian Rodriguez. So his debut fight, man, it was a really good fight. Raw, he fought Jay Perrin. A decent UFC fighter, and he finished him though. Like everybody they put in front of him on the Contender Series, he finished them. He didn't get a finish on the Contender Series, but he won. And then he also, that first fight, in front of that big crowd, he won. He came to fight. Rear naked choke finish. So some of the things that Rosas got to do to win, he has to get him on the cage. He's a very strong guy. He's a young man, but very, very strong. He got to put him against the cage, keep him against the cage, and that's keys to victory for him because he got great jiu-jitsu. Finish him real quick. He got to be a backpack on him. We seen him do it last fight. We seen that style work for many fighters, but he's a finisher. That's what's good about him. He hasn't really fought anybody like too high profile. He's a young fighter, but I think this fight is great matchmaking. I wish this would have happened down the line because Christian Rodriguez, he's legit, man. He's 1-on-1 in the UFC. He fought Jonathan Pierce, who was a very, very, very tough fighter. That's who gave him his first defeat. That guy is tough. I think he's gonna be one of the, he's gonna be in the top 15 pretty soon. So I don't think that's a bad loss to have. But so Keys, he had to stop the takedown. He has to. He got taken down both UFC fights. Granted, he submitted one guy. I think he darced him. And it was an Anaconda or a Dawson. I think it was Anaconda. So Josh Williams, he submitted him. That was great, but he got taken down. You can't really afford that with Rosas Jr. I do see Christian Rodriguez. He likes going to his back. He like playing the guard. And I think that's good for him, because if you give Rosas your back, which a lot of guys do in MMA, he's a backpack. He'll stick on you and he'll stay there. So some things I watched with him, he got to explode off the cage. He got great, crisp striking, great boxing. I think if they was in a stand-up fight, this is a pure boxing fight, I think he would beat Rosas considerably in boxing. This is an MMA fight. He can still use that MMA, like far as like getting off the cage, clinch strikes. He can use that, get off the cage, use that jab, keep him away, keep him at range. He fought some tough guys. I don't think this is going to be his hardest fight. I think Jonathan Pierce was his hardest fight. Didn't get finished. And I think he learned a lot from that. So, hey, I got the underdog. I got Christian Rodriguez. He a plus 160 underdog. I got him winning, honestly. Next, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio versus Kevin Holland. Hey, Kevin Holland, the fan favorite. He's at 170. He beat some guys at 185, so he got the knockout power. He can submit you. It's hard for me to pick against Kevin Holland in this fight, just because Santiago, the way to beat Kevin Holland, you gotta submit him. Like you seen lose Shamaev like that. Outside of Wonder Boy, a lot of people, he got wrestled by a lot of guys outside of Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy, he one of the best in the whole entire UFC at striking, so that's not nothing to hold your head down on. But I think Kevin Holland got to use his length. He only lost the grapplers other than Wonder Boy, so Santiago is not he's not a submission threat. So I think Kevin Holland to be good in the exchange on the ground. Yeah, just use his body and his kicks, keep him at distance. Santiago is a dog though. Like, he's coming in, he's gonna make it a dog fight. Can knock you out. I haven't seen Kevin Holland get knocked out with one shot. Stylistically, that Wonder Boy fight with those kicks. I think if Kevin Holland would have wrestled Wonder Boy, it would have been a different fight. But if he go in here focused and trying to win, I think he can beat Santiago. He's a minus 295 favorite. Kevin Holland is, so he should come out victorious. But I think it's gonna be a dog. He gotta be a dog to win this fight. And good thing he got power at 170, because Santiago, he's gonna be hard to put away. Next, we got Rob Font and Adrian Yanez. Hey, look, this is a big jumping competition for Adrian Yanez. Rob Font, he fought the best of the best. He went 5 rounds with Cheeto, went 5 rounds with Jose Aldo, fought Marlon Morales when he was, a couple years ago when he was doing better. Ricky Simon, great fighter, he fought again. Fought Cody. He beat 3 of those guys. He only lost to Jose and Marlon in his last 5 fights. That's nobody to be, Marlon Vera, Cheeto Vera, he one of the best bantamweight fighters we got in the UFC. So that's nothing to be, hold your head over. So I think if he ignored those last 2 fights against, some legends, Aldo and Vera, I think he'd be fine. So I was watching Yanez. Yanez, this is a jumping competition for Yanez. This is the hardest fight to date. Yanez went through adversity in fights. He still won. You're going to need that against Rob Font, because Rob Font, he's going to start the fight. He's going to start the fight with a fast pace. And you got to be ready for that. And Yanez, I think he will be ready for that. But it's a 3-round fight, and I think in a 3-round fight, I think it favors Rob Font. Even though he's underdog, I think it favors him. He got a real good 1-2. And then he got to use his jab to keep Yanez away. Yanez is a great counter striker. Yanez will make you pay. Hey, if Yanez could counter those kicks with some hooks like he did before, them hooks them sat people down. We've seen it, especially in his last fight. So next we got Gilbert Burns and we got Jorge Masvidal. Hey, Jorge Masvidal coming off some tough losses to Kobe Competent, his former friend turned foe. That was an emotional fight for him. Before that, he was going against Usman. Usman pound for pound, he was pound for pound 1 at the time. Now he going against Gilbert Burns. Man, Gilbert Burns is one of the worst matchups for Masvidal, just because Burns got great wrestling, world-class jiu-jitsu, decent striking, and he's tough. Man, he been in there with Chimaev. He showed that he can, fight the toughest guys and, survive. He went, he fought Usman. He got beat. But who didn't Usman beat? Only other than Leon Edwards, Usman to beat everybody. lately. So I don't think that's nothing to hold your head over, but hold your head over. Hey, but if Masvidal can get that boxing range and hurt Gilbert Burns, hey, then I think Jorge Masvidal got a chance. He's a professional fighter. He's great. I think he's still top 10 welterweight. He's been fighting some tough guys, some tough wrestlers. There's a lot of tough wrestlers in the welterweight division, though. So these are fights you got to take, to show that you still got it, which I know he still has it. I know he knows he still got it. Gilbert Burns, I think stylistically it's a bad matchup for Masvidal. But I'm going to go Gilbert Burns. He's a heavy favorite. So, that's who I got. Hey, so now we got the main event. We got Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya. That first fight, it was a great fight. This is their fourth time fighting, second fight in MMA. It's been Alex Pereira every single fight. So, most people going to pick Alex Pereira. The betting odds not, but I think most people picking Pereira. Just because you've seen them fight, you've seen what happened. But hey, Izzy can still win. These are some keys to victory for Izzy. Because he can win. He can't change too much from this fight from the last fight to this fight. And I say that because Izzy has not had a fight between it. So trying to change too much when you don't need to, because Izzy's been dominant. When trying to change too much when you don't need to, you can maybe try to overcompensate for stuff, and then you might get caught with something else. So I said don't change too much. He need to sharpen his tools a little better. He needs to don't exchange as much with him. Stay defensive like he was. Pereira got, that reach advantage ain't there for Izzy, but he still was, leg kicking, being at distance, and then he even hurt Pereira real bad. If it was 10 more seconds, he probably would have finished Pereira. But I don't want him to think that because he getting that exchange with Pereira, he showed that he could finish him. So I think he got to grapple more. I think grappling the way for victory, because I seen him do it. We seen him last fight, so why couldn't he do it again? I think that's the route he should go. I could be wrong though. He the favorite. Pereira, he got to do the same thing. Do the same things. Only thing he got to do, he got to polish up his defense. Maybe not one of the, because he a tall guy. He not used to fighting other tall guys in the UFC. So at the end of the first round, they said his guard dropped, whatever. He got hurt real bad. So he know the thing about that, he know that he can take Izzy hardest punch, and that might make him more willing to exchange. But you don't want to underestimate Izzy. So I think he got to do the same thing. He got to check leg kicks, because checking leg kicks hurt Izzy real bad the first fight. And that led to the finish, because he couldn't really move. He wasn't as mobile. Stay away from that. Keep the guard up at all times. This is MMA. So this is MMA. So he gotta keep it on the feet. You can't let Izzy wrestle you, because Izzy his grappling a little better. But he gotta pressure him. Keep Izzy against the fence. That's where his finish was, against the fence. Keep him against the fence. Pressure him. I think the result. I think I'm choosing Pereira to win. I think the result gonna be the same. I think Pereira gonna win. It might not be as late this time, but they didn't follow each other. This is a fourth fight. They've been in the ring a lot. He got 2 finishes against Izzy. It's hard for me to pick against him. So that's my picks for UFC 287. I'm excited to see the card, see how it turns out. If you want more content from me, just like, comment, subscribe, and we out.